So bear with me as I show you EquatIO. Without teaching the math, I will just kind of show you. You guys know the math. I'll just kind of show you what can be done. So when I explain EquatIO, I say it works in a couple of different ways. Mainly, it works within the G Suite. And when I say that, I mean it works in sheets, slides, forms, and docs. Okay? It works in all of those areas. In particular, in forms, if you use locked forms or quiz mode in forms, it works. So that's kind of cool. So just keep that in mind. I have a school district in Georgia, excuse me, and it's I think he teaches Algebra 2, does not use paper at all, has set up a Google Sheet so that basically he can look at the sheet and see it'll list questions, and he can just look right down and see question 5. These are the answers the students had. They all got it right. They all got it wrong. This is the common mistake, etc. It's brilliant. And I think if you are like that and oriented that way, it can be incredibly efficient. So that's kind of cool. So it also works independently of the G Suite, and I'll show you that sort of way to use the product. And then we have a very limited mobile app. And so I'm going to show you a few different things. And the mobile app, the easiest way to think of the mobile app is a transfer device. And what I mean by that is it'll transfer the student work from, let's say, their desk, and I've got a small equation that I'll do later on, and I will tell you how to get access to that. Now, you may choose not to do that, etc., and that's fine. I believe I sent Chris this thing right here, EquatIO Training Resources. So you should have that. If not, let him know, because that's kind of we'll just kind of keep the communications working through him. But this is nice, lots of different things here. But you guys aren't going to need this. As soon as I start showing you the product, you're going to figure out how it works for you in whatever you're teaching, and you'll go from there. The basic concept is we're trying to make STEM, in our case, I think, Joyce, they're all math teachers. In our case, we're talking about math, but it's really STEM, and I'll show you a couple of those things as well. But this sheet, if you don't have it from Chris, ask him, and I will make sure that you get it. And maybe I can even, when I'm done, I'll even send a copy to Joyce. That way she has it as well. Okay, so in the G Suite, I'm going to show you how we work in Google Docs. Now, I don't know if you all would be, but Joyce's group is familiar. There's another product that the district has used for many years called Read and Write. Read and Write is typically a toolbar that appears at the top of the screen. EquatIO, and I'm going to click on it in just a second here. This is EquatIO. It is a toolbar that appears on the bottom of the screen. So you see the EquatIO icons on the bottom. Oversimplifying, all of those icons are basically STEM input tools. So they're basically helping you to make whatever you want to make digital. That's why we're trying to get rid of pen and paper. And I'll go through them in just a second. I do want to go over a little bit here next to EquatIO, a couple of things. Again, I'm trying to give you big picture. I'm not going to go super deep. I'm going to give you the tools, and you guys will go super deep. But I just want to show you a couple of things. One is, you see in the middle there's something called Send Feedback. Loudoun, probably more than any other district that we work with in the world, knows that we listen very carefully to customer input. It doesn't mean, even if you're Loudoun schools, that if you say, do this, it's going to get done. However, what we have found is that, generally speaking, you all are very engaged with our products. You're very engaged with the students. And it is typically the case that your recommendations are very strong and not unique, which means if you and others are having them, that's how we generally change and improve our product. So the point is, keep those cards and letters coming. If you think, this formula is missing, gee, I wish it did this, can it do this? I'm not saying we will, but I am saying we will listen very clearly. So hopefully that helps. I'm going to click on the options button for just a second, and you'll see this little thing. I'm just going to go through a couple of the different options. Now, first thing is, and I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time here. I'm just, again, trying to just show you a couple things. Font size. Now, you all know that if you put an image in a Google Suite application, and someone wants to make the image larger, sometimes what will happen is that image will pixelate. It'll look terrible. So we have a few different size options here. I will say that if you are using slides, you will probably want to use the XL or the XXL font. So just make a note of that. Just because when we translate our stuff into slides, it typically looks pretty small. So, I mean, this is a personal preference. You're probably going to want the larger font. Just normally in a Google Doc, regular is fine. Language, just to let you know, one of the input tools of our product is speech to text. In particular, we do English, we do Spanish, and we do French. More than likely, English will be the vast preponderance of your kids, but just recognize they have a couple of other options as well. And then finally, we do have formulas and other things embedded. We've got, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 different lines, formulas, etc. Always adding to it, right? If there's a formula that you use regularly we don't have, that's you do the send feedback. Don't get frustrated. Give us a chance. But those are generally on. If you want your students to memorize formulas like we used to do, diameter equals pi r squared, as what I think it was, or 2 pi d or whatever it was, or 2 pi r. That's right. But anyway, so they're there. Because you all have a district-wide implementation, conceivably you could probably shut those off at the district level, but more than likely you're going to want to shut it off in your class. So if that's what you so choose, you can do that, and they'll just toggle on and off like that. It's pretty simple. Same thing with the toolbar. We show LaTeX, the LaTeX editor. We recognize that very few people are going to use it, and the main reason we use LaTeX is not because we really use LaTeX. We don't, but one of the things I will show you is you can go to some websites and copy formulas and questions from those websites into your local document. And typically the transport mode is the LaTeX editor. So I will show you that as well. But again, you can shut these off. You can have the students shut them off. EquatIO Academy is tips and tricks. So that's there as well. So that's really it. You can customize this however you want. I will let you know that EquatIO, unlike Read and Write, EquatIO is only about 3 years old now. And we have between 3 and 4 million users at the last count. So it's pretty much out there. Believe it or not, during this remote use period, we've gotten more requests for EquatIO than we have for Read and Write, which I find fascinating. And I'll just give you one more thing, and then I'll start showing you the product. From a philosophical standpoint, it's my personal belief that EquatIO can actually impact even more broadly than Read and Write, because to me, there's a bunch of students in your classes that are intimidated by math and STEM, the terminology, the symbols, that sort of thing. And by using technology, we can lower some of that barrier. And in some of these cases, you can actually manipulate the images and things in front, and I will show a little bit of that as well. So that's enough of that. Now, let me just show off the product a little bit. This first one is prediction. So on your phones, if you start typing in, I'm going to the ST, it'll say store, it'll give you some suggestions, that sort of thing. We do the same thing in EquatIO with STEM prediction. So I'm going to, by the way, just so everybody knows, I'm not using to demonstrate this, and I do this on purpose. I'm using a pretty old desktop Windows computer. Obviously, it doesn't matter since I'm using Chrome, and a mouse and mouse pad. So I don't have a touch screen. Regular microphone. Nothing fancy is the whole point. And I do that on purpose. All right. So now I'm going to go to my keyboard. I'm going to type XSQ, and look what happens. Oh, it's still large. So hold on a second. I don't really want the large font, so I'm going to go here. I didn't save when I didn't save it, because I just didn't want the large font. So XSQ. So you saw how the font changed, right? And I hope that's helpful. So in fact, I think it was Joyce or somebody else the last time we did this pointed that out. And I actually didn't even realize that I thought it just did it in the G Suite. It actually does it down here as well. XSQ, I'm going to hit return. So you see it just typed in X squared. And I could have done I'm going to do it again just to show you XSQ. I could have done square root, square meters, etc. But I wanted x squared. PL, I've just typed the letters PL, and you see it there. By the way, you notice some chemical formulas as well, but we're just going to use that. 3YCU cubed, and you see that, equals, and I'm going to go through a few symbol sets more than I usually do, equals 17. So that equation was really simple to write. I'm going to put it in. By the way, people have asked us, do we solve the problems for people? That's not what we do. So there are no solutions here. The only thing embedded, we have those formulas embedded. By the way, if you happen to have read and write, which you guys do, so I can say that here, if you want, you can actually click play, and I'm not going to move the cursor. I think it'll work this way anyway.
X squared plus 3y cubed equals 17.
Okay, so that's pretty cool. What that's called alternative text. The alt text is actually embedded with the equation. Unfortunately, right now, that is only in the doc. It is not in forms or slides or any of those things. We're working on it, and so just kind of go from there. All right, the next button is the LaTeX, and I don't know if anybody on the phone has used it. This is the old way we used to try to coerce the computer to type equations. Again, we don't really use it. If you happen to be a LaTeX expert, it's there, and you can edit here. You can do anything you want, right? The next button you guys will appreciate. I know you've probably used this. This is Desmos. So the nice thing, this is a full version of Desmos. And the beauty of it is, and Desmos is a very robust graphing application. And honestly, I haven't really spent a lot of time doing with it, but you can do some pretty cool things. I think, let me see if I can do this. You can have a slider, and I usually don't do this, but this is kind of cool because and this is Desmos, right? You can say what happens with that coefficient. It changes, which is kind of cool. So that's kind of nice. But anyway, Desmos is fully functional. So that's kind of nice. And whenever you want, it'll shade the areas, all the stuff that we like to do. I can insert that graph into the Google Doc, Google Form, Google Slide. I'm not going to do it in Sheets. So, and that's pretty cool. So without straining myself, look what I did. That's really cool. All right, let me keep going. The next, so I'm going to go back over these buttons a little bit too. Next button is handwriting recognition. So I told you, let me get rid of the equation. I told you that what I was using was a mouse and a mouse pad. That's what I'm using. So bear with me as I write this. So I'm going to just, hopefully you guys have touch screens, and I'm sorry about my handwriting. I'm just doing the best I can with a mouse and a mouse pad. And you can see I'm struggling a little bit, not too bad. And I was always taught to write my sevens this way. So let's see what it does. Pretty good, okay? Handwriting's not terrible, but that's pretty good. If, by the way, and we made a mistake, you can actually cross it out, and you'll see it. It'll get rid of it on both sides, and I can put cube. And I can go over here and I can change this if I want. And this will have it still have the prediction in it as well. So you get it on both sides. So just in case it didn't recognize that handwriting very well. So that's kind of cool, nice and simple. All right, next button is speech to text. So Joyce sent me the link this morning. That's how I logged in and connected with you all. X squared plus 3y cubed equals 17. Now notice what happened. It suppressed most of that Joyce sent me because it suppresses the non-stem. Now I must have said the word I in there someplace. Okay, so I'm going to go over here and fix it. The other thing, and I don't know if you can tell, this X isn't quite the same X. It looks more like a separate X. I'm just going to edit it. That's the right X. So the point is that you could do your speech, and I could have done it. Well, I couldn't have, but some people could do it in Spanish or French. I'm not sure how much different it is in those languages, but you could have done it in those languages, and it did that. So that's kind of cool. All right. Now, I'm going to go back over a little bit. I'm going to show you some more things, but I just kind of want to show you just some other things here that may be helpful. I talked about formulas. So we have old Pythagoras' formula. We have the quadratic formula, if I could type it right. And we have all other kinds of, we have physics formulas, stuff like that. All right, so that's kind of cool. We do have, as you saw, we have a lot of chemical formulas. We have some geometric formulas, etc. Okay, so that's kind of nice, and you'll explore that, and you'll probably find most, I'm sure you won't find all, you'll find most of what you want to do. And I just want to show you just a couple other things here. I'm going to do this. One of the things people said is, you know, you can actually change the color of the text if I wanted to. Let me just kind of go back here. If I want to change the color of the text, I change it to blue, or change it to purple. You get the idea. That's kind of nice. The other thing I want to show you is here. So we have a few different options here to kind of, again, make your life a little bit easier. So there's lots of symbols that are incorporated. Most of these are in the predictive element. I want to show you this one, because if you do matrices, we have a lot of stuff here, which is nice. And again, the spirit of this is more, and this would come through prediction as well, but I just want to show you if you want to use the symbol, which is kind of nice, right? And I don't remember how to multiply matrices. I remember A1 times B1. That's it. You guys know. Again, I'm not going to embarrass myself. We have a few different formulas here that are embedded, which is kind of nice. I don't know what your philosophy of teaching is. Mine has always been, give them the formulas. They really got to figure out how to use them. That's the important thing. So that's kind of fun. A lot of stuff here. And I know you guys are high school, so probably a lot of this stuff is most relevant to you. It's kind of nice. One of the things I didn't do is I didn't do this in handwriting, and I'm going to go back here. I'm still using my mouse, so you can, which is kind of cool. If you do this, this is kind of nice. And I'm doing it with this crazy mouse and pad, which is not the greatest in the world, but so that's kind of cool. And you can make it a double integral if you want to do that too. I think this will work. Maybe not. Used to work. We can do choose notation if you so choose to do choose notation. If you want to do a differential thing. Let me see. Summation. You get the idea. So it's pretty cool. And you know, it didn't have to be that neat, because you look at my nonsense. Oh, they did finally did get a double integral over there. So that's nice. So that's kind of cool, right? Really nice to, and the beauty of it is the student, and sometimes, and you all know this because you do it, sometimes it's more comfortable to just write out the equations, handwrite them. You can solve them. You're just comfortable doing that. But the problem is you can't edit that on the fly, but you can edit it once we convert it to digital notation, right? So once I insert this, then my handwriting, give it a second to, my handwriting now becomes editable because I can edit this. So that's really cool, right? So it took my handwriting and made it into something I can actually edit, which is cool. So that's pretty nice. Let me, so hopefully you guys get that. That's kind of cool. So that's nice. All right, let me see what else I want to do. Okay, the next button, and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. Yeah. Okay, so the next button, and I want to show you. I'm sorry. I want to go here. I want to go back into the document because I want to do something for you. All right, I'm going to make this a little bit larger in just a second. Now, give me a second to make it big so you can see it. This is how I access the EquatIO app on my mobile device. It can be an iOS or an Android device. So I'm going to go to my phone, and you might do it as well. This presumes, by the way, that you have you've installed the EquatIO extension on your desktop, and you're logged in with your LCPS account. So I'm going to go to my phone. I'm going to type in m.equat, Q-U-A-T. All right. And it comes up on my phone. It says EquatIO Mobile. It's opening. And on my phone, I have a thing, and it says active documents. And I'm looking at untitled document, which is what this is. And I'm going to click on it. And I've got a little equation that I solved here. I've got a little index card. I'm going to take a picture of it. And watch what happens. I'm going to take a picture of this index card. Again, the spirit of this app is to allow me to take handwritten material of the student and upload it. So I'm going to show you my index card. Give it just a second to load. That's an index card on my desk. A little blurry. All right. So obviously I can't edit this. So I want to show you something else. On my phone, it has an option to save that image as math. So it's going to try to convert the image to math, and then I'm going to upload it. So look what it did. So it took my phone, I took a picture of that card, uploaded it as a picture. I then said, don't upload it as a picture, upload it as math. Well, when I upload it as math, guess what I can do? I can edit this math. So if I want to make this 1,000, I'll make it 1,500, 15,000, whatever. So you can see I can change it. So that's the spirit of the mobile app. The other thing you could do is you might be able to do some bell ringers. It depends on how you want your students to use their phones. But I'm going to stop right here. And I know I've been going for, again, on a run, so bear with me. Are there any questions or comments right now? I've got more to show you, but I'm going to pause right here to see if there's any questions.
Jeff, one of the questions is your screen is difficult to see because it's small in this Google Meet. I don't know if I can change that. I don't know if you can change that.
Well, it's interesting. Let me see. Good. Let me see what I can do. I'm at 100%. You guys can see it. I don't know if this changes anything.
Yes, it does. That helps.
All right.
And then one comment is, and I love this comment, it sounds like a great way for kids to cheat. Just take a picture of your friend's work and upload it.
It is. It is. I can't, you know, and here's the deal, right? They'll figure out any way to cheat that they can. And it's unfortunate. And that's one where, you know, that's where you guys have to police it. That's the problem with a little bit of a problem with the digital age. You could say one of the things, the way I might do it is my handwriting is pretty unique. And, you know, you see the little stain on the card because I've obviously used this card for a while. Is if you guys are going to do it, I want you to upload the image and you can convert it. Recognizing that in the image, and I want to try something here. I want to try something fun here. This is Screenshot Reader, which Joyce knows. This is what we do with Screenshot Reader in Read and Write is we convert images to text. I'm going to do this on the fly and see. The image is blurry, as you guys can see. I'm going to just
x squared plus 4x plus 4 equals 0.
So that's another way to actually do the conversion, which is kind of cool. And I'm going to show you more of this in just a second. But yeah, you're right. I nothing to say about that. You're absolutely right. So,
and as Heidi said, the assistant principal shared, kids have been using technology to cheat for years, so it's not something new. One of the other questions that did come out is that a few people want to know how to get the app, and I am going to share that after the training. I'll share step-by-step instructions with the assistant principal, Heidi, and she can share it out with the staff, just so you know that is one of the questions that's been asked.
Sure, but if you want to do it quickly, shh, Joyce, don't tell anybody. You can do this, bit.ly/EquatIO, bit.ly/EquatIO, no caps. It's, by the way, the easy way to remember EquatIO is the word equation without the N. If you just did that, it'll take you right to the Chrome store. Now, I don't know, Loudon might have, you know, I don't want to break anything in Loudon, but that's a quick way to, if you bit.ly/EquatIO. But you didn't hear that here. Joyce told me not to say it, so there you go. The other thing you can do, the other fun thing you can do with the mobile app is watch this. And again, you guys have to understand my background. I mean, I did math team. I was a geek, right? Unfortunately, because of the class I told you about, if math team A, B, C, D, and E died, I might have a chance. Okay, and I was pretty good. I got my 800s on the SATs and 5s and all that, but I couldn't hold a candle to these guys. However, the fun thing about this is, watch this. I'm on my phone. One of the icons is a pencil. So you can actually, and I'm going to upload this, and I'll tell you why I'm doing this. I just wrote on my phone the square root of 42 in my handwriting. So you'll see my lousy handwriting, which you've already seen. And what I like about this is, you can't see it because now I made it so dang big. But the fun part is you could actually do some fun things. one of the things we talk about with read and write and these other things is the ability to differentiate instruction. So if I were a math teacher, which maybe in my next life I will be, but if I were a math teacher, I would absolutely use this and do some crazy things, particularly if I had a math team group. I'd have them all pull out their phones. I put some, speed things up at the front. Again, you gotta, it has to be an answer kind of like this. But anyway, that's an interesting thing you can do with your phones and the application. You can also speak the equation into that mobile app as well. So it's you can have a lot of fun with it. And again, I apologize for being a little crazy, but I'm once a geek, always a geek. Okay, let me keep going. And I'm sorry I got sidetracked. I do that from time to time. Again, I don't remember how to use any of these. One time I did know, but I don't remember anymore. Sorry. I know all of you are like, what are my kids going to remember 500 years from now? I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to do this button right here. Let me explain it, then I'll do it to you. So first thing is this particular button, remember, is still integrated with my doc, form, slide, or sheet, whatever Google app I'm using. So I'm going to click on it, and it's going to take me to a new environment that is digital pen and paper on steroids. So this is very cool. So this, I don't know how well you can see it. It's graph paper. It's a digital environment. And if you look at the bottom here, the tools are, for the most part, the same, but we've added a couple, and I want to kind of go over those. So remember, this is a free-form environment that is still linked to the Google Doc form, slide, or sheet that I'm using, okay? So these buttons, you all know, nothing different here. These first 6 buttons are they function exactly the same way as we did. We've added 4 more buttons. This is merely a select tool. This is handwriting. So remember, this is a free-form environment where I'm now able to do whatever I want. And remember, I'm still using this crazy mouse by hand. Look at that amazing triangle. I know. Everybody's impressed. This, however, takes a lot of these digital shapes and sizes and things and makes them available. So there's no way I could draw that. And there's a whole bunch of stuff here. You guys will have to explore it. There's cones and stuff that you can give the students all kinds of questions. This ranges, right? So I'll have elementary things where I have Cuisenaire rod type things. These are distributions, right, that I have. So this is, again, the spirit of this is kind of to make your life a little bit easier in terms of drawing. And we've got some physics stuff there, et cetera. So you can just scroll through it. We'll be adding to this from time to time. I think you could type in and find what you want. So that's kind of cool. In addition, and I don't know how much this will be for you guys, we've got some smart art. So I'm going to click on this one right here. That's an on-screen protractor. So I'm going to move it to my phenomenal triangle, and you can figure out what the different angles are, right? So this first angle it does look like an isosceles triangle or equilateral triangle. So 30 degrees, which is right. So that's or 60, I should say. So that's kind of cool. We also have angles in here too. I'm just trying to think of what you guys would use more than anything else. So if you need to do stuff like that. So the point is, it's got some smart shapes in it. I've got some coordinate planes as well. Again, the spirit is for you guys to give the students, whatever you want. So you've got this quote problem. Watch what happens. I'm going to click this blue button, and it's going to put whatever I have here back into that Google Doc slide or form. So obviously in this case, I was just demonstrating to you all a bunch of different things, but pretend we just had that cone and they had to solve the question mark. So when they get it from you in this form or in the slide or in the doc, when they get it from you, the test, if you will, from you, they can then edit that image. It'll take them back to that free form environment so they can solve it for you. So I'm just gonna actually what I'm gonna do is take my select tool. So you see, I'm just gonna clean it up. I'm just doing this because I'm kind of a little obsessive compulsive. So here, And I'm going to take this question mark now, and I'm going to do MS. So I quote solve the problem. I'm going to put that solution back in, and that's kind of cool. So all it is digital pen and paper. But how cool is that, right? Imagine if you had a screen. I'm like I said, I'm using this lousy mouse, but imagine if you had a screen and you were kind of showing your work and doing all that stuff. They could then insert that into the form, slide, or doc. That's math space. Now I'm going to do something else here. Remember, I'm still in this slide, doc, or form. I'm going to go to a website, and you all have to know. Joyce knows this. I'm a lazy guy, right? If I can borrow an equation from a website, you know what? I'm going to do it. And I like that. If y equals 3x squared minus the sine of 7x plus 5, what I want to do is I want to use that problem. So watch this. I'm going to click on EquatIO. Remember now, I'm in a website. I'm going to click on EquatIO, use this thing called Screenshot Reader. What it's going to do, I'm going to do two things here. It's going to read this to me, and at some point, it's going to allow me.
Y equals 3x squared minus the sine of open.
Okay, so what I want to do is I want to copy this equation, and here you go, Mr. Lazy right here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to paste it right here, and look at that. I have that equation that I can now insert. So I went to that website. I used my Screenshot Reader function to copy the equation. And now I should be able to see it right inside the document. How cool is that? And of course, I can edit it, right? And if you wanted to make it, you know, cosine, you could do that. So that's really cool. That's where I think LaTeX, it's really kind of a, if you will, a transfer station where I can pull stuff offline like that. The last thing I'll show you, at least as far as this goes, is how Screenshot Reader helps you work inside a PDF. So let me get a PDF here. And this is a pretty simple one. Let me find it here. I think it's this one.
So Jeff, can I stop you just for a second? I have a couple of questions on the chat.
Okay, go.
How many languages or what languages will the Screenshot Reader read the equations in?
English, French, Spanish.
That's what I thought you said. Okay. The other question is, can the Screenshot Reader work with Word documents that have equations created with the EquatIO editor?
So I believe so, because here, one of the things I'll show you. So this is a PDF file, and I'm going to use the Screenshot Reader here in a PDF, and I'll show you something. And I'll just give me just a second here.
N plus 16 equal.
So you notice here it'll say copy it as LaTeX or copy it as MathML. That is when I used it on that website, it was the same thing. And here, in this case, I'm also going to click on Edit with EquatIO, right? So let's see. So you see here, I'm going to do this minus. So here you go, guys. I'm showing you my great math skills. Shift Control Enter actually copies the line for me. So -7. And if I pick smaller type, it would do smaller. Which one did I do? So that's kind of cool. So I believe Screenshot Reader will do the same thing for you in a Word document. I don't think I have a Word document with any. Joyce, if you send me one, I can do it on screen. If you can grab one right away and send it to me, I'll look at it.
I don't have one. I'm sorry, Jeff. I don't have a Word document with
but notice what I did. I just clicked on the screenshot. So this is a PDF, and all I did was screenshot, hover over whatever it is. And it's going to read it. So this stops it from reading it. And this is where you can either copy it if you want to move it someplace, or you can directly edit it with EquatIO. So that's very cool as well. That's how I did this. And I think I would pick a smaller font. Let's see. I'm just curious because that's way too big. So let's see what happens. And I'm sorry, I'm just kind of messing around here. I do want to show you one other thing before we're done.
15 plus b equals 23.
Yep, that looks better, I think. All right. Let's see if I can have my cursor here. I'm just curious as to see how it appears in the. I'm sorry, this is I'm messing around here, but I'm really curious. No, same size, a little smaller. No, that looks about the same size to me. So that may be a bit of an issue. All right, I'm gonna do one more thing and then we'll be done. There's another way to enter the math space. Oh, sorry. Let me go to the doc here. If you go, and I'm going here for a reason. Oh, that's not what I want. Sorry. I'm trying to get back to the document again for you guys. Okay. All right. If you type this, EquatIO.texthelp.com. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to show you what happens. There's another way to access that digital pen and paper. EquatIO.texthelp.com. And remember, I am linked through my Google ID. That's why it kind of recognizes this. So this is a slightly different looking space, if you notice it. And I just want to show you this is another way you can use EquatIO. So first thing is I can click on this thing called New Space. And you'll notice, once again, EquatIO.texthelp.com. You notice what it did? It took me to that digital pen and paper. And what you can do is you can nice and easily just do this. And do this. You can, you know, and I want to show you one other thing here. If I just type in this T text, this is just plain text, right? Nothing. Find the angles in this. So notice I'm just typing text, right? I'm going to put this in this. By the way, the same option was in when we accessed it before. It's exactly the same environment. But notice in this case, I'm giving the student a little bit of a question, right? That's kind of what I'm doing. All right, click on this button. Before, when it was linked to the G Suite, this button allowed you to insert this directly into the doc, form, slide, or sheet. Now when I click on it, independent of the G Suite, it says, oh, I see this problem. You want to make a copy for each person, or more than likely, you want to make a copy for each person of this problem, of this sheet, of this, you know, whatever you want to do in this math space. I want to make a copy for each person and expect a response. So if you all look at this, if you all want to type this, maybe if a couple of you wouldn't mind typing this, I'm going to leave it up here for just a second. EquatIO/84HT-CSWD. If you click on that, you will see this image and you will be able to try and solve it. If you want, you can solve it, send it to me, submit it to me. But I can also distribute it through Google Classroom, which is what you probably will do. Again, this is an assignment. I'm distributing through Google Classroom. All right. Once I'm done with that assignment, look here. I am back to this screen, and I'm looking at the assignments that I have submitted for the team. So what I'm doing is I am electronically collecting the assignment. Look over here where it says solve this equation. I don't know if y'all can see it says 15 responses. I'm going to click on it. So what you're doing is you are digitally issuing and digitally collecting this assignment. And if you want to make a comment on someone's screen, like this person right here, and I have here show. I'm just using my mouse here. In other words, all I'm doing is giving an assignment, but instead of giving it out on paper and collecting it on paper with paper, I'm doing it digitally. That's all. And I have, if I was looking at it from a student standpoint, I would look at, what the student has submitted. Does that make sense? So it's the same thing that we've seen, but instead of being integrated with the G Suite, it's standalone. And instead of doing things, collecting papers and issuing papers, you're doing it all electronically. Now, we're not an LMS, so we don't have a way to kind of keep track of the scores. So 2 of you answered this math space, and we can look at it. Jennifer and Christopher, these are your answers. Good, right? So you see, and if I look at Christopher's thing and I go, and I do this, and Christopher, I'm correct. I can actually send it back, and Christopher will now receive that. And when he opens it, he will see my magnificent comments on his work. All it is exactly what we've seen so far, just doing things, kind of, and this is kind of fun, right? Just if you want to kind of, at the beginning of a class. The other thing is you could actually have this white space up at the front of your classroom and have them solve it if you have a whiteboard, digital whiteboard, or they can use your computer to access and solve these problems. Okay.
Hey, Jeff, a quick question for you. Is this done through Google Classroom? Would you review how this is done one more time, please?
Yes, it is through Google. So if this was my assignment, I click here, and I'm going to make a copy and expect a response. And look here, I can issue this through Classroom. See where I'm hovering? Good. Thanks for the question. What else? So I know if I know you all, and I'm just touching on things, go play with it. You will find magnificent ways to use this. And to me, and you see what here, I did this. This is kind of, this is 2-digit. This is obviously for elementary level, but you can do some different things that are just very, very cool. And so, I think it's a great way to kind of get kids to engage with math. And also you saw some of the chemical and some of the physics things, etc. Any other questions?
Yes, there's a couple. Monica has asked, was that a special window to share with Classroom or MySpace?
Again, to get to that, so this thing that we call Math Space, you can access it 2 different ways. One is, and I'm going to go back here just to remind everybody, if I was using a Google Doc or form or slides, I'll just use Google Slides, for example, just to show you how it works in slides. And again, I should do the XXL and all that stuff, but okay. So if I was in a slide and I went here, I got to the same space through Google Slides. But when I click on the button here, it will integrate this into the slide. See how nice that is? Right into the Google slide. Now, to get to the space independent of the G Suite, that's when I type in my EquatIO .texthelp. Sorry, I'm a slow typist. .com. That's how I get to that. Does that make sense now? Does that answer the question?
I think it does. The other question that came up is each workspace meant for a single question, or would you recommend putting multiple problems in per workspace?
So the answer to the question is you can do multiple problems. But so unfortunately for now, the limit is kind of one sheet. So you can put, I don't know. So I don't know I would put that many, because remember, the students are going to use the same sheet to solve the problem. So if I put 10 problems on here and I wanted them to solve it, I might run into some issues, right? So I might do, depending on the length of the solution, I would give the students extra space. So I might do, if it was solving just some binomials or trinomials, I might just do 2 or 3 or 4. So that's the way I would answer that. Use your best judgment. Give them room to answer the question.
Thank you. One of the other comments is that it would be really helpful if we could have a dummy student account, so we could create something, assign it to the student, and then do the assignment as the dummy student, because they can't see the student side of Google Classroom. Does it make sense?
Well, that's not related to us. That's related to Classroom, right?
Correct. Yes, it is. I just wanted to point that out because it makes perfect sense to me.
It does. Maybe you guys create a Joyce Classroom, and put a couple dummy students in there and give your teachers. I unfortunately, I'm not a classroom expert, so I don't know if more than one teacher can access a classroom. I'm guessing probably yes, but I have no idea. You might ask Chris. He might have a more classroom knowledge than I do. But that's the way I would suggest doing it.
I just thought that was an excellent question. Okay, the other question is, and Wendy, this is a good question. Do you think the students will be able to work with EquatIO to solve problems without also having the training on how to use it? Or do you think this will be self-explanatory to them? And I know they're digital natives. We're the digital immigrants, but do you think this will be intuitive for students?
I think so. So here's the answer. I think that, and I'm very careful. And I don't know if you all remember, how would you teach long division to a student? I don't remember how I would teach long division, right? Because that's one of the things here. If I just type in, I've got. Oh, hello. So that's one of the things there. So I think the way I would answer it is I would show the students the different tools. And then in your classroom, if you're doing Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Geometry, Trig, Calculus, you're going to use the tools in different ways. So if I were you, if I were doing it, what I would do is figure out how I want to use it. And I would take the time at the beginning of the semester to say, hey guys, we've got this really cool digital math tool. Here's just a couple of basics that I want to go over. That's what I would do. And it's going to be different if you're using geometry. You're going to emphasize and focus on different things than if you're doing calculus. So as usual, I don't know if I answered the question, but that's the way I would approach it.
I'm watching for additional questions. There's several comments, but I'm watching for additional questions, and we do not have any yet.
Good comments? Hold on. All right, now I'm going to look at now you got me curious. Now, if I lose everybody, it's all my fault because I'm like, I don't know how to do this. Let's see. All right, I'll find it.
No, Monica asked, do the students have the Chrome extension? And then, of course, yes, they do. They just have to install it or add the extension. And then one question or comment was, can you force install it on the students' systems? And of course, no, we can't. But they can certainly have the option to get the extension.
Well, Joyce, that's an IT call. So the answer is, from a mechanical standpoint, yes. Right? You just like read and write. You can force install read and write in the district. You can force install EquatIO in the district. If I'm not mistaken, I think they have to accept some permissions at some point, but the district can do it because, again, you guys have a district-wide license, and it is an extension. So that's up to your IT folks. But if I were, you had purchased both products for the entire district, I'd be making sure it's out there and getting used. Again, they're not.
It's definitely available.
You guys force install read and write?
No. We do not force install. That is a decision that is made above my pay grade. And so unfortunately, we can't force install unless it's from the administrative building.
Okay.
And then I am double checking email. I do not have an email from you, Neil. I did email you Jeff's email address. My email has been very iffy the last several days or last 2 days. So forgive me for not having your email yet.
No worries. Any other questions?
Oh, I just got an email from Neil. Just got it. He has a document to try.
Send it over.
I am.
Let's take a look.
There it goes. Let me know if you get it, please.
You'll see. I'll open my Gmail, and you'll also see how many Gmails. Hopefully, it shouldn't be too bad.
And while you're getting that email, we have instructions on how to get the Chrome extensions for all students, if that would be helpful for you, Christopher Archie.
Hold on, let me.
There I am, no subject.
Yeah, hopefully. All right, good. All right, so let's see what we're gonna do. We're going to, let me go.
Danielle, back. Yes, everyone has read and write as an option as well. It's also a Chrome extension. If you look at the web store, you search Texthelp, Texthelp, all one word, and you will see the number of extensions that we have site-wide license for.
So I'm trying to think of how I'm going to do this. Oh no, I should not do it that way. I'm going to do it this way. I'm trying to think of how you guys would do it. So hold on. So what I'm going to do is actually just add this to my Google Drive. That's what I'll do. That's it. Okay. Now let's see how it opens it up. If it's going to open it up as a Word doc or a, let's see.
S bar equals total distance over total time.
How's that? Did that work the way you guys wanted it to work?
I'm waiting for Neil to respond.
Good. That seemed to work pretty well.
Hey, Neil, turn your microphone on, please.
Normal triangle x is identical to x sub f minus x sub I.
And if I want to copy it, I can copy the LaTeX. And let me see. Let me go to a. So what I'm doing is moving from that Word file to my Google Doc. I'm using LaTeX as my transfer medium. And it did a perfectly good job.
It did a nice job.
Yep.
Hi, Neil.